Another Transformers movie is officially in the works, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, strap in as I read out this article and I give you my thoughts on this. Now, in regards to Transformers and the overall direction of the franchise, I like the first one. And after that, I like the action scenes, I like the set pieces. The story is a bit of a, an upside down mess for the most part going forward. But I like the action scenes, I like the soundtrack. And I think there's a lot of moments in these movies that where if you view it as spectacle, you enjoy it more. There is a lot of negatives to these movies, but, I won't go too much into that. But I will definitely be doing some more Transformers videos going forward. But I'm going to get into the article. This is Empire Online, and this was by James White. And it goes on to write, "It's almost hard to believe that 14 years have passed since Michael Bay's first Transformers film, but in 2022 we can expect the 7th in the main franchise, and now we know that it will be called Transformers Rise of the Beasts. As you might predict from that title, that we will see the big screen Transformers gang interacting with creatures and characters from the Beast Wars spin-off TV series. So if you were wondering when we might see Maximals, Predacons and Terracons in cinemas, the answer is next year, according to a virtual presentation held on Tuesday by Paramount. But don't fret if you're after the likes of Prime, once again providing his voice, Bumblebee and other classic Transformers, they will be present. With most designed after their original toy and toon incarnations, Bumblebee's car form will be an all-terrain Camaro. However, RC is showing up with Ducati 916 as her car shape, while Mirage, who can become different vehicles, is a Porsche. On the villain side, we have Scourge, a twisted Terracon who claims his victims' Autobot insignia as trophies. He's aided by Nightbird, a female Terracon from the Maximals. Transformers who become animals, there is Air Razor, the heart of the group, and a bird in creature form, Rhinox, the muscle who transforms into, well, guess, the leader of the Maximals is Optimus Primal. Described as the father figure of that group, he's similar to Optimus Prime in outlook, but isn't the same character, and becomes a giant gorilla. According to director Stephen Cable Jr., the intent with Prime here is to get underneath the surface, get underneath the metal if you would, and explore who he is and his experience on Earth. As for the humans, we already know that in The Heights, Anthony Ramos and Judas and the Black Messiah's Dominique Fishback were leading the cast, and now we know more about their characters. Ramos Noah is living with his mother and little brother after serving in the military. He's a father figure to his little brother and is trying to find his way. Described as a genius when it comes to electronics, is also said to have a lot of heart and tenacity. Fishback Selena works at the museum as a researcher of artifacts. She's trying to break the glass ceiling at work, but her boss keeps taking credit for all her work. She's described as a sophisticated thinker. Timeline-wise, the plan is to not directly interact with any of the Bay films, with Rise of the Beasts set mostly in 1994. It will take place in Brooklyn and Machu Picchu, Peru, and we're promised a big spectacle. Production on the film has just kicked off and it's scheduled for release on 24th of June 2022. So this news kind of just broke out of nowhere and kind of just, came full swing. And the one, issue I already have with this is the timeline. The timeline is already in a mess with the Transformers movies, and this is only going to add to that mess. Now, what do I mean? Let's go back to the first film. The first Transformers film intention was they were coming to Earth to get the Allspark to revive Cybertron. Okay, that was the original intention. Then you cut to Revenge of the Fallen. No, it turns out there's an Energon machine there. Then you cut to Dark of the Moon. Oh no, it turns out Sentinel Prime was using a space bridge. Then you cut to Age of Extinction. Oh no, they were here before that. Then you cut to Last Night. Oh, they've been helping humans throughout history. And then you've got Bumblebee, which, in my opinion, should have been the start of maybe a potentially soft reboot, because it did feel like that. But I suppose if this is the direction they're going with Transformers 7, I think we can safely say then that Bumblebee is a direct tie-in to the Bayverse movies, or a loose tie-in, if you will. But I think some clarification is needed, on where we are in the timeline of these movies. And I worry that we're retreading X-Men territory here. We're really sort of going into this rabbit hole where, it may sound cool, and, I'm happy to see the Predacon Empire and all that on screen. That's going to be amazing. It's one thing to see the Beast Wars played out in comics and cartoons, but to see it on screen is going to be absolutely amazing. And I think the big selling point of this movie, as the tagline would suggest, is the battle for Earth is no longer just between the Autobots and Decepticons, Maximals, Predacons, and Terracons. That's sick. Like, I look forward to that. But the thing that just confuses me is just where are we at in the timeline? You know, it's just, I don't know if this is a direct connection. You know, it says that it's being set in 1994, I think. But ultimately, does that mean it's after Bumblebee and before the first Transformers, or does that mean it's just its own thing? Is it a multiverse kind of scenario? I have no doubt in my mind you're going to see Optimus and Bumblebee reprise their roles. But it will be interesting to see how much from The Last Knight carries over into this film, because this is set beforehand. So I don't think in any way The Last Knight will influence this. And that is, in a way, is a shame, because The Last Knight, despite what we think of the film, it ended on a cliffhanger of Unicron. You know, I think I speak for everyone in saying that regardless of what we think of the films, can we at least round off that story and see Unicron brought to the screen? But with it being set in the past, it's more of a... I see it as more of a sequel to Bumblebee. It's going to be sort of like a second film to that, if that's what I feel. Is that if they're dubbing it Transformers 7, there hasn't been a Transformers 6. So I think we can take it as such that The Last Knight is Transformers 5 and Bumblebee is Transformers 6. I think Transformers 6 is now Bumblebee, Transformers 7 is this. And this, you know, the problem with this is when you do movies out of order, you're going to start confusing audiences. Audiences are not going to know where they are, what they're doing. You know, they're going to be all over the gaff. But, you know, Michael Bay isn't on this film, as far as I can read. So it's going to be fresh. You know, I'm sure he'll probably be involved in some way, shape, or form. But, you know, it's going to be fresh eyes, a fresh take. And the one thing is the clarification part. That's just all I need is Bumblebee and this movie directly linked to the Bayverse movies, or is it its own thing? I think we can take it as a loose connection. A bit like how Venom is MCU, but not MCU. Like, it's a loose MCU connection. I think it could be something along those lines. Maybe it's just the studio testing the water to see, okay, maybe this is where we could go with the story. Let's see how this goes. And I'm not a big prequel guy. I like going forward. You know, I don't mind finding out stuff about the past because it can serve the now. But I like going forward. I like learning new stories, new directions. So again, we're tampering. You know, if it's connected to the Bayverse movies, we're tampering with the history that was set up by the first Transformers film. Because now when you watch the first Transformers film, nothing makes sense. Because each movie, there's a different origin story that doesn't line up with the previous one. I'd say the only movie that really... The events of each movie carry on into the next movie. That's a given. That's facts. But the one thing that isn't a constant is the consistency. And I worry that this is just kind of doing it for the sake of maybe cashing in on some money. Rather than, you know, hey... let's just throw some stuff out there. And it's going to be cool. You know, it's going to be cool to see how this plays out, you know. It's going to be the 7th film, but I suppose it's more of a sequel to Bumblebee, you know, than it is a Bayverse movie, if you know what I mean. But the only problem I have with this is Beast Wars as a story doesn't have any humans in it. And I feel like we're retreading the same territory where it says the lead character, you know, he's a technical genius or something. We've seen that with Cade Yeager. We've seen that. We've already had that. And I feel like we're retreading that again. And, you know, seeing that as it takes place on, you know, on Earth in 1994, it feels to me like maybe this is just their way of testing the water to really decide what direction they want to go. So judging on how this film goes, for now, I would say take this not as Transformers 7. Take it as Transformers 7, but it's more so Bumblebee 2. Take it as Bumblebee 2, the sequel to Bumblebee. Take it as that. And this is them sort of testing the water of, right, do we continue with these movies and ignore the Bayverse movies, or do we just keep going this direction and loosely connect into those movies? But again, you know, it does suck that we're not going to get any closure on the Unicron and Quintessa storyline. Again, despite what we all think of The Last Night, you know, I think I would have liked to have seen how that would have panned out, you know. As much as I'm not a big fan of Unicron being in the Earth, you know, I'm a sucker for that 1986 movie where he literally gets his hand and slams it down on Cybertron. That is what I need. That's Unicron. He's essentially the Galactus of Transformers. We need that. So guys and girls, comment your thoughts down below. Let me know if you've seen the Transformers movies. What do you know, what ones are you a fan of? What cartoons did you grow up with? I watched a lot of the 80s ones growing up. I wasn't born in the 80s, but those ones I watched a lot on box sets. And for me, that is the best Transformers stuff ever, because that was the original. The characters all were serviceable. They felt real. And then you cut to Transformers Armada, same thing. Transformers Energon, I didn't mind that. I think I stopped watching around Transformers Cybertron. I haven't really watched any of the newer ones, but I have watched the Transformers War for Cybertron series on Netflix. I highly recommend that. It has the designs and models of the 80s Generation 1 show, but it has a lot of mature themes and elements that you can still kind of, you know, you can really feel the story shine through. And I am excited to see, you know, the Predacons on screen. Like, that's going to be sick. You know, I've always wanted to see those on screen and those brought to the forefront. But the one problem I have is it earned? Have we earned this? And I just hope that, you know, it's done well. And I think the minute a trailer drops, we'll get an idea and an understanding of what direction they're going to go. So if the designs are purely based off of the Bayverse ones, then we can take it as, right, this is Transformers 7, but it's a prequel before Sam and whatever else. But if it follows the Bumblebee designs, then okay, it's Bumblebee 2 for all intents and purposes. But anyway, guys and girls, leave your thoughts down below. The director of Creed 2 is doing this, and I loved Creed 2. I thought it was a really great film. So I can't wait to see how this pans out. And I think he'll be perfect for a film like this, because you haven't just got the Autobots and Decepticons now, you've got all these other factions in the mix, so you could potentially have Optimus and Megatron working together. You know, the possibilities are endless. They really are. And I just, please be good, please be good, please, for the love of God, be good, please. Just please. Oh, like, again, aside from action and set pieces, the story cohesion is really needed in these movies. But guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. And honestly, this news caught me off guard. This news caught me off guard, and I just can't wait to see how it all unfolds. I'm going to keep posted on it, and I'm going to keep you guys updated on it as of when more news drops and more things come to light. I'm a big Transformers fan. I have been for years. You know, before the movies even came out. Well into the cartoons, as I'm sure we all were growing up. So this is interesting. This is interesting. I'm going to keep tabs on this one. And I just hope that it lives up. I just really hope it lives up. Guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below and roll out.